Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's patron shoutout goes to Amy. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. And Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. Dom wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays a Tap Prairie Stream. My turn is quick with a Forest, and I pass to Zach. Zach draws, playing an Underground Mortuary, and gets to Surveil 1. He puts the Karmic Eye to the graveyard and passes to Miguel. Miguel's got a Forest and taps it for a green to cast Avacyn's Pilgrim. Dom draws and plays a Sulphur Falls. He then pays 2 for an Enthusiastic Mechanaut and passes to me. I draw, play a Mountain, and pass. Zach's turn has a Windswept Heath coming in, sacrificing it and losing 1 to go and find Savannah. He then casts an Accursed Marauder, which basically wipes away all the creatures that are currently out as they're sacrificed, and he passes to Miguel. Miguel's turn has a Plains coming in, and he casts Hinterland Sanctifier, passing to Dom. Dom's turn has him playing Adakar Waste as his land for turn, and he casts Lorn of the Third Path. He has no legal targets to blow up, so he just passes to me. I play a Mountain, and then pay 2 for Farseek. I go to find a Cinder Glade, and pass to Zach. Zach draws, plays a tapped Overgrown Tomb, and passes. Miguel's turn has a Plains, and he casts the first commander of the game with Hurska. He gains a life from the Sanctifier as it enters, and with nothing else, Miguel passes. Dom draws and goes to combat, poking me for 2 with Lawrence since it has Vigilance. Without a land to play though, he just passes turn. I've got a Mountain, and I cast a Woodland Liege. I then follow up with a Brush Strider, drawing a card, and passing. Zach just draws, plays a Fetid Heath, and passes. Miguel plays a Forest, and casts Gift of Paradise. He enchants a Plains with it, and gains some life, activating Hurska's ability as he does, to pump it by 3. He follows up by casting Soulmender, and he goes to combat. He swings Hurska at Zach for 6, and makes a food token. It connects, and Miguel then passes. During his end step, Dom activates Lauren so that he and I can draw a card. Dom's got a Plains for turn, and he casts Brigand. He then goes to combat, hitting Zach for 2 with Lauren, and passing after that. I've got a Mountain, and I cast another Beast with a Manglehorn. As it comes in, I destroy Miguel's food token, and draw a card. I then cast an Elvish Mystic, and go to combat. I swing my Brush Strider at Dom since it has Vigilance, and deal 3, and with nothing else, I pass. Zach's got a Llanowar Elves for turn, and then plays a Wooded Bastion. He casts an Altar of Dementia, and passes once it resolves. Miguel has a Plains for turn, and he casts a Scavenging Ooze, and Zach groans. He gains a life as it enters, and he pays the 1 to Hurska's ability to pump his commander by +1/+1. Going to combat, Miguel sends Hurska at me for 4, and I declare no blocks. He activates Soulmender, gaining another life, and paying 1 to pump Hurska by another +1/+1, dealing a total of 5. With nothing else, he passes, and during the end step, Dom targets Miguel with the Lauren ability so that he and Miguel can draw a card. Dom's turn has him playing Sten and choosing Artifact. He then uses Brigand to hit Zach, and passes after combat. I draw and cast Slinza, drawing a card from casting a Beast. I then cast a Fyndhorn Elves, and going to combat, I hit Dom for 3 with the Brush Strider again, and pass. Zach's turn has a Wooded Foothills coming in, and he cracks it, losing 1 for a Bayou. He then casts Necropotence, but Dom responds by countering it with Mana Drain. Miguel also gets in on the action, using Scavenging Ooze to eat 2 of Zach's creatures from his graveyard, gaining some life, and putting counters on the ooze. Feeling attacked, Zach has nothing to do but pass. Miguel draws and plays a Plains, and he goes straight to combat. He swings Hurska at me, making a food token, but this time around I block with my Brush Strider. Miguel activates his Soul Mender, paying the 1 to give Hurska +1/+1, and he takes out the Brush Strider. Moving to his end step, Dom activates Lauren again, this time targeting Zack so he and Zack can draw a card. Dom draws, and in his main phase, makes 3 colorless from Mana Drain, and then plays a Glacial Fortress. He then casts Optimus Prime on the truck side, and he goes to combat. He swings Lauren at Zack, and bolsters on it with Optimus Prime's ability. Zack blocks with the Llanowar Elves, but he still gets trampled over and he takes him to the face. This has Optimus Prime transforming, and Dom then moves to his end step, bolstering on Brigand and passing to me. I draw and cast Over the Edge on Slinza to explore. I keep a Somber Wall Beastmaster on top, which gives Slinza 2+1/+1 counters. I then cast Garruk Primal Hunter. I downtick him to try and draw some cards, but with the ability on the stack, Dom responds by casting Swords to Plowshares to try and exile my commander. With that on the stack, Miguel also exiles my Brush Strider from my graveyard with the Scavenging Ooze, gaining a counter on it and a life. With Slinza then gone, I just draw 2 from Garruk, and I then pass turn. During my end step, Dom once more gets to bolster, and we move to Zack's turn. Zack continues to be pretty uneventful, playing at Verdant Catacombs, sacrificing it and losing 1 to find a scrubland. He passes after that. Miguel's got a Plains for turn, and this time around he swings Hurska at Dom. Dom declares no blocks, and Miguel casts Congregate and attempts to gain 24 life and has the mana to pump Hurska to take him out with commander damage. Dom is ready though with a Fierce Guardianship, countering it. So Miguel instead cracks a food token, gaining 3 life, and pays for Hurska's ability to give it +3/+3. This has Dom taking 6 commander damage. After that, Miguel passes, and during his end step, Dom draws a card off of Brigand, and then targets Zack with Lauren so that he and Zack can draw a card. Dom draws, and plays a Training Center, and then casts Goblin Bombardment. He sacrifices Optimus Prime, and targets my Fyndhorn Elves to take it out. This has Optimus Prime coming back, transformed, and he then goes to combat. He swings Lauren at Miguel, and bolsters 2. And Miguel then activates Soul Mender to gain 1, but then takes 6. Once more Optimus Prime transforms, and during his end step, Dom bolsters and then passes turn. I draw, cast a Somberwald Beastmaster, play a mountain, and then pass. Zack's got an Urborg for turn, and he pays 1 for a Soul Ring. He then casts Reanimate on the biggest creature, which is my Gargadon, and it comes back, and he loses some life, and passes turn. Miguel draws and plays a Plains, and then casts Speaker of the Heavens. He goes to combat, and swings Hurska at Dom again. Dom blocks with Optimus Prime, and Miguel sacrifices 2 food tokens, and pays for each life gain instance to give Hurska a total of +6/+6. Dom sacrifices Optimus before damage, and pings the Soul Mender with Goblin Bombardment, but Miguel responds by tapping it to gain 1 more life one last time. After that, Miguel passes, and Dom uses Lauren to give himself and myself a card. Dom draws and plays an Exotic Orchard, and he goes to combat. He swings Lauren and Brigand at Miguel, who takes the hit for 12. In his post-combat main phase, Dom plays RC and passes. My turn has a Zerta Ancient coming in, and I then play a Fiendish Duo. I then follow up with Susan Foreman, and I pass to Zack after that. Zack's turn has him playing a tapped Temple Garden, and he passes after that. Miguel draws and eats both the Llanowar Elves and Fyndhorn Elves out of Zack and I's graveyards with his Scavenging Ooze, and he pays 2 to give Hurska +1/+1 twice. He also eats Dom creatures and continues to pump Hurska again, and then swings his commander at Dom. Dom once more blocks with Optimus, and Miguel activates to sacrifice the food that he'd gained from attacking to gain another 3, and then pays the 1 to pump Hurska again. Before damage, Dom sacrifices Optimus to the Goblin Bombardment to take out the Speaker of Heavens, and Miguel responds to this by eating 2 more creatures of the Scavenging Ooze and using Hurska's ability to pump the Speaker. With that on the stack, Dom responds by taking a counter off of RC and it finally dies. After combat, Miguel then casts a Core Cartographer, going to find a scattered groves. He then passes, and Dom draws off the Brigand trigger, and he targets me with Lauren so that he and I can draw a card. Dom draws and plays a Shivan Reef, and then casts an Uncivil Unrest. He goes to combat and swings the team at Miguel, who blocks what he can, but still takes 44. And in his second main phase, plays Danny Pink and passes. I've got a Forest Return, and I mutate a Gemrazor onto the Zertat Ancient, blowing up Dom's Uncivil Unrest. With that on the stack, Dom uses RC and removes some counters to take Miguel out. And I then continue by mutating a Porcuparrot onto the Ancient again, this time getting to destroy the Goblin Bombardment with a Gemrazor trigger. I then cast a Gnarlid Colony, and then a Baloth Gorger, both unkicked, and I go to combat. I swing at Dom, and he casts an Amphibian Downpour, which has Storm, and he puts 2 copies of it onto the Fiendish Duo, 1 onto the Manglehorn, and 1 onto the Gargadon. Zack sacrifices the Gargadon to mill himself for 7 before it resolves, and Dom then takes the hit for 9. In my second main phase, I cast Garruk's Pack Leader and the Llanowar Elves, and pass turn. Zack draws and is able to finally play now that the Scavenging Ooze is gone, and he puts a Reflecting Pool out and casts a Demonic Tutor. He then casts a Protean Hulk. He sacrifices it, milling me for 6, and goes to find Junji and the Carrion Feeder, putting them to field. He then sacrifices Junji to get back the Protean Hulk, and he sacrifices the Protean Hulk to the Carrion Feeder, going to find Machias and the Walking Ballista. The Ballista dies instantly, but comes back with a +1/+1 counter from Undying, and as a result, Zack is able to take Dom and I out with this combo, winning the game. Game review time. This was another quick one at 46 minutes long, and yeah, it was a classic Karador win involving Protean Hulk. Honestly, considering how slow Zack played for most of this game and how little he did, I think the table really didn't consider him much of a threat. Plus the fact that Scavenging Ooze was on the field, which is in my opinion the best card of this game since it kept him locked down. Unfortunately, Dom and Miguel saw each other as the main threats, so Dom did a good job of taking Miguel out, and as a result, pretty much sealed the game in Zack's favor. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.